Hi guys, so I'm not interested in skinning cats because I quite like them, but we all know there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. There's also 1,000 ways to organize beta reader feedback, but you don't really find much of that online, at least I haven't. I am still in the middle of my beta reading process, so this would probably serve you guys better if I finished that and then shared all of my tips because I'm probably gonna learn more things, but I wanted to just tell you guys all that I've learned because I learned a lot and I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes that I made. Oh yeah, and I also have an awesome Excel spreadsheet filled with conditional formatting. Really, there's not that much, but it's awesome. And I'll go into more explaining and then show you guys some pictures of that in a minute. But the link to download that is down below, so make sure you check it out. Topic number 1, create a filing system. Your first task is to identify how to organize your files. You want to figure this out before you start sending things out because you don't want to change it a couple chapters in when you realize you don't really have a good system. My files look like this. I have a folder for each and every one of my chapters, and then each one of those chapters, I get my lovely beta reader feedback. I've obviously blurred out their names because I don't want you guys to harass them. Let your betas know the formatting that you would like to receive their feedback in, how you want their document titled, in the very first email that you send to them. I have all of my chapters that I send out just labeled as chapter X, whatever chapter it is, and then I requested that my beta readers send that back to me as chapter X and then their last name. So it saves me a little bit of time when I get their feedback email and I can just download it and move it over to the file and I don't have to worry about renaming each one of them. Also use individual email threads. So it's helpful in the very beginning to send a group email, which I'll talk about in a second, but anytime you get a response to that email, it's all gonna show up in the same thread. So you could have 15 people responding to the same thing and you might lose some people because in your inbox, it's only gonna show up as one email. So to counteract that, after your very first email, send them a new one with whatever title that you would like for your organizational needs. Mine just says beta feedback for the Elysian prophecy, and that way each beta has their own thread within your email, so nobody gets lost. Topic number 2, communicating with your betas. I have a lot to say about this one. In the beginning, I didn't have a column in my Excel spreadsheet for when the beta responded to me because in my mind, my job was to send the chapter and then to incorporate their feedback. That was an egregious error, and that folly caused me to not send chapters to a handful of betas. It was my fault, so don't do that. Don't do like me. That's because I didn't have a system in place to monitor my own work queue. So the very first email that you send to your betas after you've selected them should be your first chapter. In my case, it was my prologue. I included a reiteration of what I wanted them to go over, what type of feedback I wanted them to give me, and kind of guidelines for what I expected of them, and my document titling instructions. I was able to do all of this without having to type each one of their names in individually by using a Google group. So if you go to, I don't really know what to call it, the cell block, I'll put a picture right here, in Google, and you go down to contacts, you can click on the groups tab and then add a new group. So you can enter them all in at one time, and then later if you need to send another message to the group, you don't have to type them in individually. So it's just a helpful little tip. And then so you protect your beta's privacy, BCC them, blind carbon copy them. This makes it so each individual beta thinks that they're getting that email sent directly to them. They don't actually see in the to line all the other 14 betas. So none of them know who each other are and everybody's privacy is protected. So I always do the following. Whenever I get an email back from a beta saying that they've finished a chapter, I do not read that email until I can download the document. So if I'm on my phone and I get a notification and I click on it, I always go back in and mark that message as unread because I don't want it to slip through the cracks. If it's marked as read and I go in my inbox and I see that nobody has responded to me, I might have forgotten that they had just sent their response to me. So when I get to my computer, I always open up the email, I download it and save it to the appropriate folder, with the appropriate formatting, and then I make a note in my Excel spreadsheet. And this note will create a pretty color letting me know that I have to incorporate that beta's feedback. Anytime I've deviated in this, I have lapsed in sending chapters to people in a timely manner. Topic number 3, print each chapter. I'm sorry to all of the trees in the world, but this is how I do it. You could do this electronically. I haven't tried the paperless route yet because so far this works for me and I didn't want my Word document to get too jumbled. Originally, I toyed with the idea of using different pen colors for each one of my betas, but I have 15 betas, so there's no way that I was gonna be able to coordinate 15 colors and it not become a big mess. So I settled on using 2 colors. I ruled out red immediately. I have plenty of red pens from when I was a TA, but I hate red. It's so negative and I don't want to be in a negative state of mind when I'm receiving beta feedback. Not my cup of tea. So I use a fluorescent pink pen. Actually, let me get my pens. Woo, got my pens. So I use a fluorescent pink pen and a regular blue ink pen. This is actually, it's got like a little touch tablet. I don't know where we got this from our title company, obviously, but I'm a pen hoarder. So I just use regular blue pen and a fluorescent pink pen. I don't actually really like the color pink, but this was the brightest color that I had, and I'll tell you what I do with it in a second. So with the blue pen, I incorporate all of their feedback suggestions, even if I don't agree with it. So if they offer a suggestion for something or they say this should really be this, and I don't agree with it, I still write it in there. And then that way, if I have 6 betas all say the same thing, I know that, okay, yeah, I should take that into account. So I don't filter out any edits yet. I write them all down. This is time consuming sometimes, but to me, it's worth it. With my pink pen, this is for any good comments that they have, or not good comments, but any positives that they have, anything that they like, any sentences, or if something just makes them feel the emotions of the chapter a lot, I put it in pink and I actually get girly and I put a little heart next to it. Like, this doesn't stand out enough already for me to know what it means, but it helps me to know if 5 betas like this sentence a lot and then one says that they don't really like it at all, which has happened to me. I know that maybe I should lean more towards the 5 people who said that they do like it. So I always include their comments, good or bad. I'm lucky in that all of my 15 betas have unique initials, so that's how I keep track of their individual feedback. I write it in whatever color that needs to be written in blue or pink, and then I write their initials right next to it so I know who that came from. If they say the same thing, then I just add their initials on to the previous person's comment. At the very end of the document, I list out their last names and then summarize the answers to the questions that I sent them. So when it's time for me to actually incorporate their feedback and make changes in my novel, I can look at their answers really quick and see what their suggestions were that didn't fit into the inline comments. Yes, handwriting all of this is tedious, but to me, it's the best method that I have right now. Topic 4, sending out the next chapter. Utilize your end of chapter notes that you just took to discuss the beta reader's feedback when you send them the next chapter. So if they're doing a really awesome job, if you think that they've pointed out a lot of really helpful things in the line comments, or if you need clarification on something, you can ask them as soon as you attach the new chapter to that email. Make a note of it in your spreadsheet. I do this before I press send. So I know if something pops up and I get pulled away from my computer right after I click the send button, I won't forget that I sent the chapter to them. This just helps for organizing so that later you're not trying to go through everything and think, oh, why haven't they responded to me? And double checking to make sure that you sent the email to them. Number 5, how to use the spreadsheet. So once you've downloaded the spreadsheet that I made, and I am just absolutely in love with it. I literally think it's magic every time I use it, and one of the colors changes in another cell. It's just awesome. I'm proud of myself if you couldn't tell. All right, so the first step, you download it. Second step, you incorporate your own edits to it, you know, adding in your own beta readers, etc. And then the third, you use it. It's super easy. Just kidding, I'm gonna go into it a little bit more. As previously hinted toward, it's difficult sometimes to keep track of what you as the author need to do. So the first thing that I have for each chapter heading is the sent column, and I will actually put in the date. I don't just put yes or no, I'll put in the date that I sent it, followed by a response column. For this one, when I type in the date that they responded when I get their email, I type in that date, and then the cell to the right of that will actually highlight. And that cell is the incorporated column. So when it highlights, on my Excel spreadsheet, I can see visually there's a chapter there that I need to incorporate into my master printed out chapter. So for my spreadsheet, that will highlight yellow. And then once I have incorporated that feedback into my hard copy of my chapter, I type yes into that incorporated cell and it will populate green. So I can see really quickly how many betas have responded to chapters, and I'm just a visual person, so I really like it. Once that cell turns green, the cell to the right of it will highlight orange, and that's for your next chapter's heading, and that's your sent column. So again, visually that will tell you, I need to send a chapter to this beta. Again, once you put a date in that column, it'll change from orange to regular formatting. So when you see that there's no yellow or orange colors, you've done your job and you don't have any more beta feedback to go through or chapters to send out. So your job as the author is done for now. So the Excel spreadsheet that I have down below for you to download is preloaded with 10 chapters and then up to 10 beta readers. And then if you have more beta readers or more chapters that you need to add to it, you can just copy and paste that, and the conditional formatting should be copy and pasted too. So the cells will still change colors. You can always edit the conditional formatting. I just wanted to make it easy for you guys and provide you with what I am currently using. All right, I hope this video is super duper helpful, and good luck in your beta reading feedback process. If you have a topic that you would like for me to cover that I already haven't, be sure to drop a line down below or tweet me to let me know about it. And be sure to subscribe to my channel because I post new writing videos every Wednesday. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday and enjoyed some good food and family time. You know, that's what it's all about. Being thankful for everything. Bye guys.